Disclaimer. The content provided in this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. While we discuss topics related to mental health advice, life wisdom, and alike, the opinions expressed are personal views of the hosts and do not constitute professional, legal, or medical advice. We make no representations or warranties about the accuracy or completeness of the information discussed. Any action you take based on the information in this podcast is strictly at your own risk, and we are not liable for any losses or damages in connection with its use. Additionally, this podcast may contain discussions around addictions, substances, which are intended for adult audiences. We do not endorse any illegal activities. Please consult your local laws before engaging in any actions related to this content. By listening to this podcast, you agree that you are over the age of 18 or the age of majority in your jurisdiction and understand the terms of this disclaimer.
Welcome to the Balancing Forces podcast, where two opposites collide in the best way possible. One brings the fire,
the other keeps it chill.
But together we share life's lessons, hard-earned wisdom,
advice you can actually use.
Whether you need a fresh perspective or just a laugh, we're here to elevate your mind. So buckle up, because things are about to get real and
really funny.
Chapter 15. Are you sure? His mother asked, all his life. I had been counseling the coach of a number 1 ranked NCAA Division I team a few times, sitting outside the quaint little coffee shops where we first got to know each other. It was blocks from a major U.S. university, and the rickety outdoor tables sat in the morning sun. The seasons wore on, and Stefan's team held on to its number 1 national ranking in the polls. That means that all of the thousands of teams at all levels of the sport, from peewees to top collegiate organizations across the country, this team and this coach were, quite literally, the very best. Only a couple dozen professional coaches had achieved greater heights and were held in higher esteem, and actually knew more about the sport than Stefan. Stefan was unequivocally the best of the best. But as the postseason playoffs came, his hopes for a national championship were devastatingly dashed, when in the later rounds, the most critical player on the team made a shocking error that cost the team everything. An error that player never ever made prior to that. Not even one time. And so, as postseason gave way to off-season, Stefan and I were reflecting for several hours one morning on that key player's critical error and all of the implications and causes of it. It was a mental error, wasn't it? I queried. I mean, it was so far out of character for this player that it just made no sense. Was it that his head was not in the game, or what? Because his muscle memory and body work were simply in no way capable of making a mistake like that. I know, brother. You're totally right, he responded, but I blame myself, not him. As a very good coach would and does, always looking for how I, the coach, could have been better and avoid such critical errors, I shot back. No, but in this case, it's true, Sven. He then went on to regale me with the story of the midseason when he brought this player back from the preseason injury into the starting rotation. This player, appropriately named Rock, was easily the best at his position, the most important position on the team. But he still wasn't 100% when Stefan wanted to work him back in. Stefan had been coaching D1 for 15 years by this point, after years as a pro player, had reliable assistants, and one particular assistant coach who had been with him since the beginning. And this one longtime assistant was Rock's position coach. This position coach pushed very hard to not bring Rock back into the rotation so soon, believing him not to be ready and bearing fondness for his backup. And he and Stefan tussled back and forth for weeks, mid-season on this issue, all the while Rock was still riding the bench. Until one day, Rock's early season replacement booted completely in critical must-win game. Stefan said to me, Sven, when that replacement completely blew it and cost us a critical win, I shouted, "See!" at my assistant coach. Ah, that's it right there, isn't it? That "see" was your "screw you" to your assistant. You're angry. I told you so, you dick. And you have just revealed to me that this assistant coach has power over you. You refused to override your longtime assistant and put Rock in. Basically, a month earlier, even when you knew in your gut it was the right thing to do, and knew Rock needed it for his season-long success and later playoff success of the team. In your own intuition, Rock needed as many reps as he could get, long before the national playoffs came around. But you didn't want to offend your assistant coach? You had been the number 1 ranked D1 team in the country for months. In other words, except for the pros, you yourself were the very best coach in your sport in the entire United States, and arguably one of the 50 or so best in the world. But despite your success, the years of experience, and the fact that nearly every single coach in your sport in the country would come to you for advice, you chose to go against your own instincts and instead defer to an assistant. not because you thought it to be a better decision, but because he has some power over you. That snotty little C was not just an acknowledgement of a mistake, but it carried an attitude and anger. You were mad at him for having power over you, but the real anger should be at yourself for giving him the power to override you, right? You know, you, now in your late 40s, as one of the top coaches in the country and the world in your sport, still don't trust yourself and your own instincts. And what I want to know is, where the heck did this come from? What I want to know is how, why, and when did the top coach in the country start discussing his own intuition? And by what unfathomable logic does the best of the best distrust his own instincts? It makes no sense. One, only because the best of the best, in fact, unwaveringly trust his or own instincts. Furthermore, I guarantee if you override your instincts in your own field of expertise, where you're quite literally the top authority in the country, you're doing it in all the other areas of your life where you're not the expert, and thus already have more self-doubt and distrust of your own intuition. That means you've been doing it long, long, long before you got into this sport in the first place. Dude, this distrust of your own intuition and self is encoded into your original programming. So what I want to know is what's the earliest memory you have in life of distrusting your own instincts? He immediately started laughing out loud. Wow, wow, wow. Holy crap. I'm tripping hard, brother. Wow. God, Sven. It is so funny you say that. Man, man, man. Stefan shot back. In fact, he started laughing almost uncontrollably. I had hit it. Instantly, when you said that, Sven, a very recent event came to mind. I was on a ski trip to Vail with my wife and kids, having a great time. Yes, I ski. And I called my mother just for my weekly call. And do you know what she said? It's unreal, Sven. She said, "You're skiing? Are you sure that's a good idea?" Sven, I'm a grown ass man. It so pissed me off. I can't even tell you. I'm in great shape, active, still in my 40s, and she asks that? I was so mad. Wow, Stefan. That's it, isn't it? You nailed it. That is the grand virus written into the coding of your soul. Those 3 words are you sure. The pieces were now falling into place. Slam dunk. There was far more to the story he shared with me, and far more I volleyed back to him. But there it was, the story of his life, the story of how he lost a national championship that was rightfully his for the taking, was written 4 decades prior, and he knew it. Those 3 words are the story of your life, aren't they? Your mom's been saying that in some form or another, both in words and in action, since as young as you can remember, hasn't she? Stefan nodded, now fully deep in thought. The core message of your life is, are you sure? I went on, you've been taught from a very young age to question and even distrust your own inner voice. And it took a major life rattling event, like watching a national championship slip through your fingers, for you to realize how powerful and deeply embedded this core life message has been. That loss had nothing to do with rock and really nothing to do with your assistant coach's power over you. You have been taught to distrust yourself, even when you are the very best in your field. It had to do with your distrust of your own knowledge and instincts. You've told me before that your coaching success is because of your killer preparation and excessive planning, and you make 5,000 decisions in a season. But there was one decision that you doubted and deferred on, and it was the one key decision that cost you everything. Brock lost that playoff game for you because you dropped your focus months earlier and didn't trust your own mistake. Didn't trust your own instincts. You let fear of your assistant coach and your own innate self-doubt take over. He nodded again. You're right. God, you're right. I could see a gargantuan weight lifted off of his soul right there. I could see a gargantuan weight lifted off of his soul right in front of me. His entire countenance changed. He had already accepted the burdens of the loss, but now he knew the real reason why, and it was painful yet oddly powerfully liberating. Implicit in that message from your mom to constantly doubt yourself, constantly ask yourself, are you sure, is not just the message that you can't trust yourself, but that you and your inner instincts aren't good enough and or don't matter. And that is one gargantuan negative self-belief to have embedded in your cement at the depths of your soul at a very young age. It's not something that can be overcome just by changing your coaching methods or working harder. There was an inherent design flaw when your parents were crafting your being. If they were even that deliberate, they may have been fine people, but they passed on to you, perhaps from their parents, a self-doubt that is absolutely antithetical to maximum success, and you saw it happen right in front of your eyes. I continued, and the real mistake people make at this juncture, when they've now named the beast that has been afflicting them, is to quickly exonerate the parents with, well, she was just doing her best. I know this isn't going to sound real spiritual, but it can be a giant mistake to forgive too soon. Hate to say it, but it's true. And that will possibly be the eventual resolution. But the soul of the child, which is still what each of us is inside, as long as we're driven by the cement hardened with their messages, has every right to be angry and say, why did you embed in me such a powerful message of self-doubt? You may not ever say that to her face, and doing so is not really the point. But you have to sit in the moment, at least for a while, and realize that a well-meaning parent royally screwed up by causing you to doubt yourself. Later, there will be time for letting mom off the hook. But for the moment, you have to first see clearly and admit that it has been afflicting your life and decisions as we just did. For on this one issue, deep inside, you are still a wounded kid, distrusting yourself and wanting to please others, even subordinates. That kid needs to be heard in order for that wound of self-doubt and concomitant self-distrust and self-dislike to heal. You must then simply sit in it for a while. It is such a major revelation, there's no way you can't. I mean, reflect on the power of that one core belief and its underlying implications. So great was your self-doubt that no amount of willpower and perfect planning could have overcome it. That's a powerful hooch. And right then, I reached across the table and shook his hand, congratulating him. What are you congratulating me for? He asked with a quizzical smile. Today is the first day, after 15 years, that you finally became the head coach at the U. You've been the head coach, but the truth is you haven't been. You've been this weak version of the head coach. Today is the day you finally became your fullest self as a coach, finally eradicating the internal self-doubt. It is the day that you finally stop trusting your assistants over your own intuition. Trust them if they're right, but not if they're wrong. Dude, that's huge. Today you finally became the CEO. You will never go back to distrusting yourself because now you're aware. Congratulations, Stefan. Sitting back deep in reflection, a Cheshire grin creeped across his face. So what's the point? The point of Stefan's story is very, very simple. Never underestimate the sheer power, the colossal power of core messages placed in us by those who have been or are significant to us. In this case, a national championship was lost because of the childhood message from a parent, reinforced over time by that parent and by subsequent choices by the man himself. Core beliefs have extreme power. If you get nothing else from this book, you must understand this one fundamental point. Soul beliefs are everything. More, as with Stefan, the real beliefs driving the equation of your life are in all likelihood hidden from your view. Also, intuition is king. It's everything. Integration of your inner and your outer life, which is predicated on trust of intuition, is the lone source of joy, peace, aliveness, and unleashing your greatness. Journaling recommendation. 1. So, what are the core beliefs causing you to question, dislike, and distrust yourself, your life decisions, and your own intuition? 2. What have you lost as a result of not trusting your intuition in a key moment? What did that feel like? 3. What does that make you want to do moving forward? Bonus tracks. To keep moving forward with the core of the badass counseling method, go ahead to the next chapter. For those looking for more insights and deeper challenges, check out these bonus tracks. I will be posting the bonus tracks afterwards.
How awesome is this? This is going to be the book we're going to be giving away. It is an autographed copy as well. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, share this out with your friends. At the end of the series, there will be a giveaway for a copy of your own book. Thank you.